What's up? What's up? What's up, family? How y'all doing? It is Ernest James coming to you guys for the very first live that I'm going to start doing on your journey, your healing journey. Live is what it's going to be called. And this is the very first one. So, welcome, everybody. If you don't know me, I am Ernest James. I'm speaker, author, podcaster, all of those things. And I speak a lot about grief, right? I speak on grief and I speak on suicide ideations and all of those things that I've had experiences in and has been able to overcome. And so those are some of the things that I speak on. And so again, man, thank you guys for tuning in. This is the very first one. Make sure that you guys are staying in contact with us um, so that we can stay in contact, right? I have a lot of things that I'm going to be working on, a lot of things that I'm going to be bringing to you guys, workshops, grief workshops, workshops on overcoming failure, just a lot of different workshops here in the Chicagoland area and virtually. So yeah, just wanted to again say welcome you guys to the very first episode of our Your Healing Journey live, right? And so today I want to start off by talking about you learned to smile, but you're still hurting, right? You've learned to put on a happy face. You've learned to mask your hurt. You've learned to cover up the things that you are dealing with, but inside you're still hurting. And so I want to encourage you to be vulnerable enough and open enough to admit that there are some things that you're still dealing with. Because only when we're able to admit the things that we're dealing with, will we ever be able to heal from it? Especially when we're dealing with grief, especially when we're dealing with loss, especially when we're dealing with, losing loved ones. And we're even really going to get into other types of grief as well, because most of us know grief as losing a loved one or losing someone that you care about. But grief doesn't only affect those type of losses, right? But it affects any type of loss that you may be dealing with. So just this week, I've been having a lot of conversations about grief and about loss. Grieving. We just passed Mother's Day, and so I did a workshop on Mother's Day about dealing with your grief after losing your mom. But I had a conversation with someone after Mother's Day who was grieving the relationship with their mom, but their mom is still alive. But they're grieving the relationship that they had or grieving the relationship that they lost with their mom because now they're not seeing eye to eye, right? And so grief affects us in all these different ways. And it can show up with any type of loss of a dream, loss of what you thought would be, loss of a marriage. We talk about divorce. A lot of people have been divorced, including myself. And because of your ideas, because of how you thought the marriage would go, because of your dreams of being a married person and having a family and having the children and holding everything together. And then when that does not happen, then you can grieve that as well. I myself definitely I've been married and divorced and definitely went through that myself of grieving the loss of what I thought my marriage would be, grieving the loss of the dream of marriage that I had, and so grief shows up in a lot of different ways, and it shows itself and comes in, and a lot of times we don't know how we're going to react to it, but we have to take out time to admit, again, going back, admitting to the fact that we're dealing with grief, admitting to the fact that we're still hurting, even though we put the mask on, even though we put the brave face on, even though we've, act like nothing's wrong. And especially those of us who are the strong friend, especially those of us who are the go-to person for people, and other people come to us for comfort, for uplifting and all of those things. But a lot of times we turn around and we don't have anyone that we lean to. We don't have anyone that we turn to. So who does the strong person turn to when they're no longer strong, right? Because they're not necessarily able to show up as not strong for the community that leans on them to be strong, right? But I want us to be able to take a moment and to admit, even that strong friend, even those of us who are the leaning post for most people, sometimes we are dealing with grief ourselves. I can admit, my birthday just passed not too long ago. May 1st was my birthday. I turned 50 this year, and this time of year is always challenging, because I lost my mom, right? And so we got my birthday, then we had Mother's Day, and then today is my mom's birthday, right? And so this time of year is always a little surreal, should I say? And sometimes I grieve. Sometimes, I have those thoughts of what could have been and what I wish would have been. But oftentimes, we as a strong friend, we're not able to take the cape off. But I want to offer this space. I want to offer this space for us to be able to take the cape off, to be able to be vulnerable enough to admit that there are some things that we are still dealing with. There are some things that we are still carrying, right? I definitely miss my mom, and there are other things that I grieve. Again, I mentioned about my marriage, grieving my marriage, or grieving the marriage that I thought I should have had, grieving the relationships with some of the people that I thought would be in my life forever, but for one reason or another, they're no longer a part of my life, right? And so grieving even the relationships and the friendships that I thought I would have, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, grieving the fact that my business may have not grown the way that I wanted to. As a podcaster, grieving the fact that I've been podcasting for several years now, 200 and something episodes on the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And yet and still, there are some parts of the podcast that I thought would be better right now, or may have grown right now. And so I could grieve that as well. But just being able to not only show up for ourselves, not only show up for others, even while we are grieving, but allowing others to show up for us, right? Allowing, and again, I do know that we can't always be vulnerable with everyone, but finding that safe space, finding that space to be able to say, okay, let me take this cape off for a second and deal with the things that I've been dealing with. Because again, we put on the mask, we put on the smiles, we put on the facade that everything is okay. And it's not. And it's not. I know Mother's Day, again, I bring up Mother's Day just passed, and I know I'm not the only one who have lost a mother. I'm not the only one who has lost a sibling. I'm not the only one who was hurting during this time of the year, because I've talked to a lot of people. I've had the conversations with a lot of people around this time of year of Mother's Day. And then even those who have been mothers who have lost children around this time of year. How do you celebrate Mother's Day when the fact that you're a mother of an angel child? How do you celebrate that? How do you acknowledge the grief that while everybody else is celebrating, even especially if you have other children, while you're celebrating being a mother to your living children, it still doesn't take away the grief of dealing with being a mother of an angel child. But we have to be able to open up. We have to be able to have the spaces to open up and to be free to speak on these things that we're dealing with, to speak on the grief that we're dealing with. Because grief I would say grief is like a hamster wheel. If you think about a hamster when it's in his little cage and he jumps on his wheel and he's running and running and running and is turning, but he ain't going nowhere. He's just running in circles. Well, the grief cycle is like that. Unfortunately, when we deal with grief, when we face grief, grief puts us on that hamster wheel. And unfortunately, once you're on the hamster wheel of grief, you can never get off. It just continues to roll, right? And so when we think about grief as a wheel, right? And I would say if you think about grief as a wheel on a car, first of all, let's go back. If you think about grief as a pie, right, and you slice the pie up into slices, each slice will represent a different emotion that grief brings, because it can be sorrow, it can be anger, it can be joy at times, it can be laughter at times, it can be confusing at times, right? And so when you're on that grief wheel, right? And so we're saying, looking at grief as a wheel. Once that wheel starts turning, once you get on that hamster wheel, you can never get off, because grief never goes away. It just becomes easier to live with. It just becomes easier as you process it, as you give it the time that it needs. It becomes easier for you to deal with it. It becomes easier for you to live with it. It becomes easier for you to think about the loss that you had. Think about the loved one. Think about the child. Think about the job. Think about the dream that you lost and grieve for it, but in a healthy way. To be able to not only grieve without breaking down, to be able to grieve without falling apart, to be able to grieve without getting angry, because you've taken the time to process your grief. And that's what we want to get to. We want to get to the space where we've processed our grief enough that the thought of the thing that we lost no longer makes us break down, no longer makes us cry. Still make us sad, but it no longer break us down when we fall apart. So we can think about those loved ones. We can think about those dreams. We can think about the things that didn't go quite the way we wanted it to, but we can do it from a healthy space. Okay? So again, I want to say thank you guys for jumping on with me really quickly. As we do the very first Your Journey, Your Healing Journey Live. This is Your Healing Journey Live. This is the very first episode. Make sure you guys are staying in contact with me. Go to the dealhealfulfill.org, which is our website. Make sure you guys are checking us out at the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where my guests and I talk about topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. We're on 200 and something episodes there. Definitely something for you guys to check out. Also, mainly make sure you guys are following us on our Eventbrite page, and I'll drop the link in the comments. But make sure you guys are following us on our Eventbrite page, because that is where we're going to be offering our workshops, our virtual workshops. Again, we have one on embracing your grief that I did on Mother's Day. We're going to be doing that one bi-monthly. We also have some other ones coming up, maintaining your faith during your mourning, because a lot of us definitely have a loss of faith sometimes when we're dealing with the loss of a loved one. You know, we start to ask those questions of where was God, or where is God in the midst of what I'm dealing with? And I thought because I was his child that he would not allow me to hurt like this, and he would, answer my prayers for healing for my family, or answer my prayers for covering for my family. And that can be a journey within itself. And so we do have a workshop called Maintaining Your Faith During Your Mourning, which is, after you've lost someone. We also have some other workshops coming up doing that has to deal with suicidal ideation, that has to deal with overcoming suicidal ideations. Also, some workshops coming up talking about how do we deal with the loss of losing someone to suicide and still maintain. What are some of those questions that the family is oftentimes left asking, right? How do we find the answers to those questions? Why didn't I see the signs? Like, why did this happen and I was able to, to see it? Or, what was going on that I was preoccupied? Or were the signs always there and I just didn't notice it? All of those questions that the families and loved ones of those who have lost loved ones to suicide, sometimes, they're don't know how to process those things. And so we want to make sure that we are answering those questions. Thank you, my guy, for the happy birthdays and happy Friday. Yes, today is Friday. Again, this is the very first Your Healing Journey live that we're doing. So make sure, you guys are rolling with us. Again, make sure you guys follow us on our Eventbrite page, where you will be able to stay up to date with our workshops that we are offering. We have a lot of workshops coming up and some in-person things that's coming up as well. Later on in the year, we got our second annual Daddy-Daughter Dance coming up the Sunday before Father's Day. And so again, there are some of us who are fathers. There are some people who have lost fathers at this time. You may be grieving that as well, because Father's Day is coming up right after Mother's Day. And, you may be dealing with that loss. But, lock in with us, tune in with us so we can help you to be able to walk through that grieving process, be able to get through that. But again, yes, so our second annual Daddy-Daughter Dance, we are doing the Sunday before Father's Day. Make sure, and this is for dads and daughters of all ages. So it's not just young dads with younger daughters, but last year we had some adult daughters, who brought their dads to the Daddy-Daughter Dance as their guests. And so, yes, that's open as well as Daddy-Daughter Dance for dads and daughters of all ages. That is the very next upcoming live event that we have. But we also have some other things planned for you guys, to bring you guys in person if you're in the Chicagoland area. Also, we have something that I'm going to be doing later on in the year. I think it's going to be in Memphis, but you guys stay locked in with us, and I'll let you know more about that as it gets closer to that. But yeah, so thank you guys once again for tuning in to the very first Your Healing Journey live with your guy, Ernest James, speaker, podcaster, and author. I definitely want to thank you guys for tuning in one more time with us. And I hope you guys will tune in more. We're actually going to be doing these every Tuesday and Thursday, right? So we're going to be going live. We're going to be doing these lives every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:00. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:00. And so this was the very first one. Just wanted to jump on, introduce myself to those who do not know me. But if you're watching this, more than likely you know me because it's on my channels, right? So again, thank you guys very much for everyone that tuned in. Thank you guys for your support over the years. Thank you guys for your support in the future. Make sure you guys are checking us out. We got the little ticker on the bottom with pretty much everything that we got going on. So make sure that you guys lock in with us. I definitely appreciate you guys for coming on. Thank you. Terrell says, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, bro. I definitely appreciate you being on. So again, thanks everyone who has tuned in. Thank everybody who's going to watch it, because I'm going to share it some more once I get off, and then I'll send it to some of my other platforms as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to let you guys go until next Tuesday when we do our next Your Healing Journey live. I always forget the name. Your Healing Journey live next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 o'clock is the time that we're going to be doing it. So next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, I will see you then. Until next time, you guys be blessed.